This one's pretty effing good. The F stands for fast, formulaic, and fun. F1, the movie. Yes, it hasn't been the most fun summer. We just haven't had a pure, fun, escapist summer blockbuster yet. Well, Brad Pitt is here to change that. Yes, it's Brad Pitt's turn to get all Top Gun Maverick with the director of Top Gun Maverick, Joseph Kosinski. They've teamed up with Apple and Formula One in a beautiful marriage of corporate synergy to give us a rousing sports movie. So does F1 live up to the summer and to other racing movies? Brad Pitt is Sonny Hayes, a former Formula One driver who's all washed up. He lives in a van, has deep regrets about an injury that ended his career, and is just making ends meet by driving anything. Until his former racing rival Ruben Cervantes, played by Javier Bardem, approaches him with a proposition. If he can come out of retirement and get his racing team to win one race, he has a shot at redemption. But standing in his way is the new kid on the block, Joshua Pierce, played by Damson Idris. He's hot, he's young, he's brash, he thinks he knows it all. So Brad Pitt's gonna come in and show him a thing or two about racing and teamwork. It's basically the Top Gun Maverick formula that Joseph Kosinski perfected without the added benefit of IP. Formula One is basically an original movie, so Kosinski doesn't have any characters or backstory to rely on. Now, pump the brakes, that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. There's a difference between cliches and formulas. Cliches are crutches that screenwriters use when they're out of ideas, but formulas are templates. They're a roadmap, if you will, on how to create a successful screenplay. We have the old guy who's out of step and who never made it, and we have the young hotshot who has things to prove. But there's also the technical director, played by Kerry Condon, who's there not only to build a better race car, but to fall in love with Brad Pitt. And the slimy board member, played by Tobias Menzies, who has his eye on taking out the company from under Javier Bardem. But unlike Top Gun Maverick, which took its stock characters and elevated them into archetypes, this one doesn't quite get there. But what it lacks in script, it makes up for in pure racing adrenaline. Joseph Kosinski is now in that rarefied air of director who can pull off a $300 million blockbuster that looks and sounds and feels amazing. This guy started out with Tron Legacy, which was way better than it had any right to be, but then he gave us the criminally underrated sci-fi Oblivion, and of course Top Gun Maverick, which no one thought would work, and he pulled it off with flying colors. Kosinski's engineer-like brain doesn't create a better racing movie, but it does create a better looking racing movie. And with his DP Claudio Miranda and the latest camera technology, they capture some truly incredible racing footage. Cameras are strapped on the front of the car, the back of the car. There's a camera that swivels from the front to the back of the car. And we never lose sight that these actors are actually racing. The speed is real, the crowds are real, the adrenaline is real. This is probably the best racing action we've gotten since Grand Prix. That's my litmus test for racing movies. John Frankenheimer's 60s racing classic Grand Prix. It's a movie that fluctuates between the greatest racing footage ever shot and pure soap opera peplum. F1 has the greatest technology in all the world, but it still doesn't quite come close to just that pure, gritty realism of Grand Prix. That's not a knock against it. I mean, you just gotta acknowledge when you're beat. And while it doesn't have the emotion of Ron Howard's Rush from a few years ago, or the total package of Ford v Ferrari, this is an excellent entry into the racing canon. Of course, when you have a pure movie star at the helm, it's gonna make this racing footage look sexy as hell. Brad Pitt squints his way through a pretty thankless role, but you can tell he perks up when it's time to get in the car. Damson Idris is an up-and-comer, and he matches Pitt every step of the way with braggadocio. It's a lot of fun to see them duke it out in cars on the track and with egos off the track. And backing them up is Javier Bardem, who is now one of cinema's foremost scene stealers. This guy's at the point of his career now where he just knows when to raise the temperature, when to put a little sauce on his lines, when to, add a little cheese. He's just having so much fun. There's one line reading at the end that made the crowd just kind of burst out laughing in a good way. All these elements combine to make a pure escapist blockbuster. Now, it's a little bloated. It's 2.5 hours long, but there is a racing scene pretty much almost every 10 minutes. And I gotta tell you, I didn't see a lick of CGI in this. I'm sure there is, but it's blended with the practical stunts and action so well that you're never taken out of the movie. That's the thing about Kaczynski. He pushes technology, but he knows that real emotion and that real movie spectacle still relies on the real thing. And backing him up is some killer sound design and a killer score by Hans Zimmer. Now, Hans Zimmer is no stranger to racing movies. He scored Days of Thunder back in 1990, and he scored Ron Howard's Rush. At times, this score kind of sounds like a parody of what you imagine a Zimmer racing movie would sound like, but I don't care. The guy gets the juices flowing. The score is a bop. Of course, it all comes down to the final race at the end, and our characters learning to work together, and Brad Pitt redeeming himself, and Damson Idris learning to take a backseat and learn a little something from the old-timers, and Kaczynski and Claudia Miranda and Zimmer just firing on all filmmaking cylinders. F1 might rewrite the racing movie, but it sure won't rewrite the sports movie. It's pure formula, but that is not a bad thing. It's enjoyable, satisfying, adrenaline-fueled entertainment. I give it a respectable 3.5 stars out of 5. If you like this review, please like and subscribe or follow me on Letterboxd at Ramirez316. F is for fuck yeah.